Right, this is just a quick demonstration of a calculator that I'm making in Visual Basic. I'm using Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate for a class that I'm taking right now, and I'm kind of doing my own little project in it since I've done Visual Basic before. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make a scientific calculator. I started off just kind of playing around, and I made a basic calculator, and that was pretty easy. However, in this, I have to take into account order of operations and all of that, so it gets a little bit more difficult since there's a lot of different ways a user can input in things. And I have right now a working calculator that can handle addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in any order that you want to type it in. So it's kind of nice in that regard. It doesn't look too good, doesn't look very pretty, and some of the number outputs aren't quite how I want them yet, but it's working, and that's what's important right now. Here is the code that I have right now. I am still a beginner, so this probably could be a lot neater, or there's probably easier ways to do certain things, but, well, I don't know them right now. But it works. So here's kind of the example. Here's a basic display. I don't have it set up as buttons right now. I have it set up for keyboard input right now. But, I mean, if you do something simple, like addition, it can just keep adding numbers together forever. It doesn't let you retype in operators, at least plus and minus right now. I still got to work on division and multiplication for doubling up operators to not allow the user to do that. But as you can see, there actually is order of operations taken into account. I need to make an equals button to make this easier, but whenever I type in an operator, it goes back and calculates whatever it can in the current equation. You can see up top here the total equation that's been put in, and then here is the current kind of working area. So if I add again, it knows it can calculate out the multiplication if I type in another addition symbol. So calculates all of what was done before, which was 2 plus 3 times 4. Did 3 times 4, which is 12, adds the 2, 14. So it condenses all of what I had before that into one number. So I can just keep on going. So handles any order of operations you want to type in. Right now, I just need to add exponents next. Well, and also decimals, but that'll be really easy. That won't really take anything. And also just do some more error checking. That's going to be one of the biggest parts. I had done a calculator before, and it was really good on the error checking. However, the layout of it wasn't conducive to actually doing any calculations. So I had redone the entire calculator. How I have it set up is, right now, I have the form allowing key presses. Even if there's a button on there, it's not exactly a focus, it just always accepts key presses. And I have a separate subroutine for each character press that's available on the keyboard, which is just going to be plus, minus, times, divide, decimal point, any of the number characters, and then also enter is going to be one just for like an equal sign. In that, and also parentheses too will be on the keyboard. So I have those all right here. I don't think I've added decimal yet. But anyways, each one of those is its own sub. Like here is when I type in a number, it adds the number that I just typed in to the text, and it's currently adding to the string. How I have it set up is I'll have a string of numbers in an array. just so I can manipulate them later. So it just keeps adding to that array until I hit an operator. And then once I hit an operator, I have a separate array that handles the values of what was in that string. So what it'll do is it's a two-dimensional array, because I'm kind of anticipating for when I have parentheses that it'll kind of have to work backwards through parentheses as I add more layers of complexity. So right here, the p count is what level of parentheses it is at. If there's no parentheses, that's always at 0. The total is like the total number of operators that are in existence. So if there's just, well, it's the total number of numbers that are not operators. So if there's one operator, 2 numbers, this is at 2, so there's a number that's 0, 1 and number 0, 2 in the array. That's set to the value of the string. As I keep moving down, this is the same for each operator, except it just handles what it adds to the text box, or the labels actually. I didn't use text boxes, differently. Then it calls my condensing sub, which is the bulk of what I'm working with. Here's just some old work that I was working on that didn't quite work out where I had put it. Now, what this is doing is it's going to step backwards through all of the operators that I have. Again, it's an array based on the number of parentheses, so each layer of parentheses has its own string of operators. And what it does is, right here, is it's adding numerical values to the operators. So plus or minus are 1, divide and multiply is 2, and then exponents, and also square roots, which will be the same thing in essence. So I'm probably going to change this. Will be level 3, and that's just simple orders of operations. And what it checks is if the most recent operation that you had typed in is of a lesser order than what is in previously, it can do a calculation. So for example, lesser than or equal to, I guess I should say. If I do 2 plus 2, then plus again, those orders of operations are equal. So I can calculate what was before. However, if I do 3 plus 4 times, it can't calculate out that 3 plus 4 yet. So it takes that into account and lets you type in another number and another operator. If you do another times again, 3 plus 4... Oops, I did plus. No wonder why. I was a little bit worried there for a second. If I do 2 plus 3 times 2 times again, you can kind of see up here, hopefully, it just calculates out that 3 times 2, puts it into there, 6. It still leaves that 2 plus, but it still can't calculate it out. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And then the part that I had the most trouble with, further down in here and some up in there, is resetting everything back to how it should be after calculating things out. So the operator string, getting rid of what you had calculated out and leaving what you hadn't calculated yet. Just resetting everything back to where it should be is the hardest part that I've done. Here's the old condensing sub that I had done, and it just does not work. I mean, it works, but it gets so complicated. It's pretty much on a case-by-case basis, depending on the orders. And it'd be like, if you did plus first, then times, you do this. If you do plus, then times, then minus again, you do this. So this kind of does that, but it's more numerical and it's recursive. So there's only one set. It only looks at 2 at a time. and can just kind of recurse back. So that's how it works.